How y'all doing?
All right.
Doing very well. Everybody's great here.
Good. Um, I guess we're just, like Roy said, we'll give it a couple of minutes for people to join up and then we'll get started.
Sounds good.
And while we're waiting for that couple minutes, I'll just share a screen asking for people to wait for the meeting to begin.
Roy, are you seeing Katie's chat?
I do. I'm resending her link now. Okay, so we've got a pretty stable number of attendees. Do we want to go ahead and start it now or wait a couple more minutes?
Dr. Boyette,
Yes, sir.
did you last time?
Sir?
Did y'all do that last time?
Yes, we did.
Okay, well, we'll go ahead then.
Okay, before we start, I just want to say real quick to everyone, this meeting is being recorded, and it will be posted publicly after the meeting.
All right.
Thanks, Roy.
Thank you, sir. We'll go ahead and begin. It is April 27, 2020. This is a regular called meeting of the Warren Independent School District Board of Trustees. I call this meeting to order at 7:04 p.m. Let the record show that a quorum of members are present either in person or virtually, that this meeting has been called and that notice of this meeting has been posted in accordance with the Open Meetings Act, Texas Government Code Section 551. Now read a statement regarding the virtual board meeting participation. On March 16, 2020, Governor Greg Abbott granted a request by Attorney General Ken Paxton to temporarily suspend a limited number of open meetings laws to the extent necessary to allow telephonic or video conference meetings in response to COVID-19. In accordance with the suspended rules, we certify the following. Notice of this meeting has been posted online for at least 72 hours. Although members of the board are not gathered in a central physical location, we do have a quorum in attendance at this meeting by video conference or telephone call. We are meeting utilizing the Zoom software application, which allows two-way communication from members of the public. As we would at any in-person meeting, members of the public who have followed the instructions on the meeting notice for registering to speak during public comment will be unmuted for 2.5 minutes to speak. If the speaker submitted written comments in advance according to the procedures on the meeting notice, a board member will read the comments into the record during the public comment portion of the meeting. Written comments will be limited to 2.5 minutes and incorporated into the minutes of the board meeting. A record of this meeting is being made and will be available to the public upon request. We apologize in advance for any unforeseeable difficulties and ask for your patience as we navigate unprecedented conditions. Now, if y'all would stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States
of America
and
and
to the republic
for which it stands,
one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Marty, would you lead a prayer, please?
Most gracious Heavenly Father, Lord, I just thank you for this day, Lord. Lord, I just ask that you be with each and every one of the people that are having issues with the coronavirus, Lord. Lord, I ask that you be with the families, Lord, of the people that are falling ill. Lord, just help strengthen each and every one of them, Lord. Lord, I ask that you be with our school board and our school board members and their families, Lord. I just ask also that you be with the school superintendent, the faculty, the staff, the students, Lord. Lord, just strengthen them, Lord, and help them through this tough time, Lord. Lord, I ask that you be with each and every one of us, Lord, and just keep us all safe and healthy, Lord. Lord, be with our community, our country, Lord, and in our entire world, Lord. Lord, just help us through this crisis. Lord, I know that you have the ability and the power. Lord, for it's in your Son, in Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Yeah. Yeah, my iPad went on me. Item number 3 now is the public comment on a non-agenda item. Is there anybody on for that, or we haven't had any questions sent in and nobody has any comment now? And item number 4 is public comment on an agenda item. I'm assuming the same there. Number 5 is board recognition for employee of the tribe tribute, Ms. Harryard.
Yes, sir, I'm here.
You have a presentation to make for them?
Yes, sir. First of all, I'd like to say that I am very proud of all my ladies. They do a very good job at what they're doing. But I chose Miss Charlotte Hibbert because Charlotte is a employee that if I need help with banquets or with a booth at the fair or at the carnival, or if I need somebody to ride in a float, she's the first one to raise her hand. And if administration calls and they need somebody to work ticket booths at the volleyball games, the football games, whatever, Charlotte volunteers and she goes right on up there. Even on weekends for tournaments at these volleyball games and things, she goes on up there and does it. And I'm just very proud of Charlotte. She's a good person. She works our warrior line. She's the one that she's our grill cook. She cooks all the hamburgers and the Crispitos that the kids love.
Popular.
And I'm just so very proud of her. That's why I chose Charlotte.
Thank you, Tammy.
You're welcome.
Yay.
Thank you. Appreciate you.
Yes, Charlotte, we do. We appreciate you greatly. And I know it's been quite a challenge over these past few weeks and maybe more so than ever before. So we just want to say thank you, and I know you're probably accepting this award as much for your colleagues as for yourself, because I know you're a great team.
Thank you.
But clearly you're a leader among those fabulous ladies. And we do have your award for you, but I'm going to have to wait to get it to you until I can get Mr. Burks to sign it, and we can,
Okay.
you know,
Okay.
properly provide that to you. But
All right.
I do have a token of our thanks to give to you.
Thank you.
We're very welcome. Anything you'd like to say?
No, ma'am, that's about it. Thank y'all.
Well,
Yeah,
thank you very much.
Appreciate your hard work.
Thank you.
Number 2 here is the junior high contest winners, Miss Weedman.
Yes, I have 3 students that I wanted to recognize, and I see that they are all in attendance tonight. I'm going to recognize 2 of them first. What we did is back in Public Schools Week, we did an essay contest about what makes Warren Junior High so great, and we had a separate contest for students who wanted to design a flag for our school. And so the winner, the ones who got first place, they actually won a set of Apple AirPods, which are kind of a hot item at junior high. So the first 2 I want to recognize is our second place winner. And I think Roy's going to put up their designs, their flag designs here. But our second place winner is Jarek Harper. And Roy, if you can put their flags up to share that screen so you can just see those. This is Jarek's award. So if Jarek, you're there, you can have a look. But this is Jarek's flag that he designed. This was actually second place. It was a very, very close race, as you can tell. And they actually just did them more in ISD, and they really didn't put junior high on them, so they actually can be used anywhere. We had these made into flags, and we're going to hang them in our halls. And the next one, our first place winner was Jenna Smith. And so Roy, if you can show the next one. This is Jenna's award, and Jenna's with us tonight. And then the next slide is her flag. If you can, okay. And this one, if you can kind of see what she did, hang on.
I love it.
She basically did her little flag, and she put, you know, leadership, family, integrity, and pride, which are all things that describe not just our school, but our district. But this one was picked by our judges for first place. So I really hope you like the designs of their flag. It was kind of a really neat idea. And I have to give credit to Miss Johnson for coming up with the ideas for these flags. They really turned out pretty well. We had, I think, about 30 entries for flags and a lot of good choices. So we picked to those 2. And then our next winner was our essay contest winner, which is Rebecca Norwood. And she was going to read her essay to the board, if that was okay. If we just give them just a second, we can get her up so that she can read her essay.
We'd love to hear it.
Yes, ma'am, very much so.
And they're kind of new to the Zoom thing. Everybody's trying to figure it out.
No, we'll be patient.
Okay. Okay, there's her award. And Roy,
Hi.
it's under, there we go. Okay, we got her. Okay.
Rebecca Norwood, you can begin speaking whenever you're ready.
My favorite things about Warren Junior High. The first thing that stood out to me from the moment I set foot in Warren Junior High was the environment of the campus. It's important to me that while earning an education, there's a sense of unity and pride in everything done throughout the school. Even here in the junior high, from the custodians to the principal, strive daily to create safe learning conditions that meet the needs of each student. Even when I'm in class, little things like a simple joke help when needed, and interesting group discussions make me enjoy my studies that much more. Also, everyone here is so friendly and generous toward the students. In my opinion, everything done by the Warren Junior High staff and students add up to what I believe every school's environment should strive to achieve on their campuses. Many schools lack employees that can brighten someone's day with a simple smile or wave. While our school has many people that can make a huge impact in a student's life, a few in particular stand out in my mind and give examples I would like to share. Miss Kelly Harper is someone I personally look forward to seeing every day. She is such a genuinely sweet and caring adult. In fact, I consider her the mom of the Warren Junior High campus. She looks after all of us with dedication and concern as if we are one of her own children. Another faculty member I admire is Ms. Wilson. She never minds lending a helping hand to any student on campus who is struggling in math and has impacted me by encouraging and expanding my love for mathematics. She truly is the definition of a perfect teacher. Lastly, I must mention Mr. Blackshear. He has taught me countless life lessons, grown my understanding of science, as well as broadened my vocabulary with words such as loquacious and indubitably. He establishes order and high expectations upon his students and demands respect and structure in his classroom. He elevates each student to their highest potential. Warren Junior High teachers are a strong foundation of our school. All kids are a little frightened about starting junior high. Personally, I was too scared to start junior high. On the first day, I knew I had no need to worry. Warren Junior High does a fantastic job of welcoming its students. This is especially tricky because it is a school that converges two campuses together with people from different backgrounds. Yet everyone feels like they are part of one big group. From the very beginning, we all began to build new bonds immediately with kids from other schools, and teachers fostered these connections and encouraged building these friendships. By the end of the week, it was almost as though we had been in the same school together for years. Warren Junior High students are the heart of campus. I believe that there are far more things to love about our school than what is listed. When a campus possesses administration that sincerely cares about each individual student, along with fantastic kids who push themselves, it develops a recipe for success. Everyone fits together like a puzzle, and it creates a beautiful masterpiece. All have a place to belong once they walk through the doors of our school, and learning is enjoyable in the classrooms. I'm truly grateful that I get to attend Warren Junior High School. It feels like home. I would also like to say thank you to Ms. Weedman, Ms. Johnson, and the Warren ISD administration for the opportunity to participate in a contest that offers such a great prize. For the record, to this day, I still know what loquacious means. It means talkative, and indubitably means without.
Could you tell me what loquacious means? Because I'm not real sure.
Mr. Blackshear told me that when my sister was actually going into 6th grade. I still remember it.
That's awesome. Well, I just have to say first, very well written. Oh my gosh, I hope all our other students can write as well as that. We're going to have the best writing scores in America. But I think not only is it a great comment or commentary on you and your experience, but also on Ms. Weedman and the campus in general. I hope all the kids, I mean, it gave me chill bumps because I hope all the kids at the school feel the way you feel, because that's where learning really happens, is when everybody is happy and safe at school. So thanks to you both for sharing that and for creating such a great place to be.
You're welcome. It was really fun.
Thank you. That was really good, and I appreciate Ms. Wheaton and Ms. Johnson for encouraging them to do that. That's good stuff.
It is.
We are on number 3 now, the Teacher of the Year awards.
Right, so we'll just start and go around each campus. If it's okay, Katie, I'd like to start with you, and each campus will make their presentation, and then Mr. Patty will make the presentation for the district. Ms. Hicks, I think you have to unmute yourself.
Okay, can y'all hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. This year, our staff has selected Miss Kelly Bird as our Teacher of the Year for Fred Elementary. Kelly and I, actually, it's a funny story. We go back a long way. When I was in college, going to school to be a teacher, I did one of my very first teaching internships with Miss Bird when she taught at Reed Turrentine in Silsbee. And ever since then, I've always looked up to her as a model teacher. I just thought there were so many unique things that she brought to her classroom and to her students. And so I always kind of looked up to her. And so after we had our internship, I didn't see Kelly for probably, 7, 8 years. And life brought us back together about 7 years ago, ironically enough. And then a few years ago, she came on board at Fred Elementary. And so now I have the privilege of working with her. But Kelly is one of those teachers that to me, she does just an outstanding job of individualizing instruction for all of her students. She pays attention to every single tiny detail for every single student. So I feel that she truly exemplifies the every student every day in every way. And I think that she is a wonderful model teacher for everyone else on our campus. She's never afraid to step in and lend a helping hand and share her ideas. And she just does it in the most professional way. So congratulations, Kelly. We are so very proud of you at Fred Elementary.
Thank you, Ms. Hicks. Ms. Glosson, next, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. Hey guys, can everybody hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Good evening to everybody. My husband just decided to start mowing, so if you hear the lawnmower, sorry, I apologize. Our teacher of the year this year is Miss Annette Faircloth. She's been in education for 32 years, 16 years of that in Warren, and the last 14 at Warren Elementary as our PE teacher. She is not your ordinary PE teacher. She runs a very structured classroom where she engages her students in differentiated activities. When the students enter the gym, they know her set expectations. The teachers also know that they can go to Miss Annette, and if teachers are having, let's say, trouble maybe in math with multiplication, they know that they'll say something to Miss Annette and she'll somehow find a way to incorporate it into her gym class. So she, I think, goes above and beyond with that aspect. She has also delivered a K through 5th grade PE program for the last 14 years. This is the biggest community event on our campus, and she pulls it off with ease. She will be retiring after this year, and I know that this is not the way she intended for her last year to be, and that makes me really sad for her. So I'm going to try not to cry tonight because we just love her, and we're going to miss her, and she's going to leave a void on our campus that's going to be hard to fill. But I would just like to tell her how much we all love her, and I know she knows that, and we're honored to have her as our campus representative for the Teacher of the Year. Thank you, Miss Annette.
Thank you, Ms. Glosson.
Mr. Burks,
Yes,
you
ma'am.
know, before we go on, I didn't, I didn't unmute myself, so I wasn't quick enough before we moved on to Robin, but I wanted to see if either Miss Bird or, I just lost her name that we just,
Faircloth?
yes, if any of them would like to say anything. I noticed they're here as well. Kelly or Miss Faircloth?
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am. Hi, Kelly.
Okay. Hi. I really just want to say thank you, to Katie for all the things that she said. And I'm just really glad to be a part of Warren ISD. And I absolutely love Fred Elementary and her leading our campus, and all of the teachers on our campus, I think, do a great job. So I appreciate the honor.
Thank you, Kelly. We appreciate you so much. You're really one of the best, that's for sure. All of these people that have won awards tonight are just exemplary teachers.
Thank you.
I tell you, I think it's funny. Her name, I'm gonna guess, is Miss Faircloth, the gym chick for life.
That's me. Well, I just want to say how much I appreciate the award, but I've been in 7 different districts in my lifetime. I've 32 years, but the longest has been in Warren, and it's family. That's what it is. It's family. I've never really felt that, but until I came here. And so it is going to be sad to leave, and I'm probably going to cry too, but it's time. It's time. I'm getting tired. I'm old, but I really do miss saying goodbye to the kids. That's going to be the hardest part. So somehow I'd like to do that if I can, but anyway, I love everyone, but my Warren Elementary family just has a special place in my heart. So I really do appreciate it and love Robin and Daisy. They're the best.
You know, they love you right back. And like she said, it's going to be immense shoes to fill. And I haven't known you very long, but it's been my pleasure. And thank you so much for all your years of service.
Oh, it's been fun. I love it. I'm going to miss it, but it's time.
Thank you, Ms. Fairclough. Ms. Weedman?
Yes, I will say just a thing with Annette Faircloth and I actually taught in Woodville together 21 years ago. So I've known Annette a long time. We taught math together, so it was a lot of fun. She's a great teacher and I'll miss her too. My teacher of the year is Miss Zadie Sagne. She teaches special education on our campus. She actually just came to us 4 years ago. She was a first-year teacher. I will say this for Zadie, she was a late hire and the job at the time came with coaching. And I said, do you want to do that? And she said, I will do whatever it takes to get to start teaching. And I thought that was pretty awesome. She had only ever played golf in her whole life, and she jumped on and coached volleyball and basketball. And I was just like, wow, you're crazy. She says, but I really want to be a teacher that bad, I'll do that. And she's actually become a pretty humdinger of a coach too. So I will say that for my personal children have had her. They absolutely love her. She's probably one of the most positive people on my campus. And if you've been on my campus, that's saying a lot because everybody's pretty positive on that campus. She just really has a heart of gold. She, you know, drives in from Beaumont every day, and she has 2 little bitty children. I think her first one was just a few months old when she started, and she had another one. And she drives in from Beaumont early in the morning and coaches all day, and sometimes doesn't walk into her house or 10 or 11 o'clock at night. And I will say this, there have been years that she's had 3 grade levels of kids in her classroom at the same time. And that's just the way sometimes it's been in the past, and she never complains. I've been told by our co-op director that she writes some of the best IEPs that she's ever seen. And I don't know how she learned all of this stuff. I just know it was her first year and she showed up to an ARD and it was like she'd been doing it for 10 years. I don't know where she went and learned it because I didn't teach her, but I will tell you that her parents absolutely trust her. Her kids love her. She doesn't know this, but I went in her classroom today to put her award on her desk, and there was a little note under her door. And I picked it up, and I guess a student at some point had come by the school, one of the teacher's kids that has her, and had slid a note under her door and just saying, Miss Sagne, I really miss you, and I really need to talk to you, and I just love you, and I really wish I was seeing you all the time. Just slid that under the door. And you know, and sometimes her class is not the easiest to teach, but I will tell you, when I walk in that classroom, those kids, it's the safest place. I think those kids go all day. It doesn't matter how much trouble they're having. There's no judgment, and she just encourages them. And I know I walked in her class a few days ago, and some of these kids that were in there doing something really hard, they were doing direct variation. And I just remember them, the biggest, hardest concept to grasp, like they just said it and they were so excited. We just hollered and screamed and had the best time. So just a positive class, just a place you want your kids. So I'm so thankful to have her. And I think she wanted to say a little something if she had a chance.
Oh, good. I hope so. And I will echo what you said. Jennifer Dunson told me the same thing, that she's just a natural at writing IEPs.
She's good.
Sagne, please. Thank you for joining us. Congratulations.
Well, thank y'all so much. Warren Junior High has really helped me just gain the knowledge that I need to be successful. I want to thank Miss Weedman and Miss Johnson for always supporting me and having their doors open 24/7 for me. So thank y'all.
Thank you. Thank you so much for all that you do for our students. And there's a special place, jewels in your crown and all that kind of stuff for the students that you serve. And we greatly appreciate you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, ma'am. And beautiful picture of the family there.
I think Mr. Sweeney.
Yes, Ms. Sweeney. Sorry.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. I appreciate hearing all the wonderful remarks that have been said by all the teachers and the students and Ms. Hibbard before that. To be such an awkward and chaotic situation that we're in, this board meeting for I guess going on 30 minutes now has been nothing but positive remarks about students and employees, and that is wonderful. And it's my honor now and privilege to recognize a very good teacher, a man that has been on our campus for, I guess, around 16 years now, Mr. Clarence Akins. And Mr. Akins came to us back in, I think, the fall of '04. Mr. Akins is the high school teacher of the year, but he is also the district teacher of the year. And he was recognized at the Chamber of Commerce banquet back in March. And at that time, there was a biography of him compiled for that program, but it never was read. So with your permission, I'm going to read that essay that kind of sums up Mr. Akins. So if y'all will bear with me, please. The Warren ISD Teacher of the Year, Mr. Clarence Akins, is an outstanding science and math teacher found on the high school campus. Mr. Akins is highly respected and appreciated as a leader among his colleagues, while his students view him as a strong educator who makes learning fun with a challenge at the same time. His love for teaching has impacted the lives of thousands of students over the years. Mr. Akins was born in Southeast Arkansas, where he grew up as a country boy in the Mississippi River Valley. His family farm produced cattle, cotton, and soybeans, and that was where he worked closely with his father and grandfather, learning the value and merit of hard work, honesty, and integrity. He attended elementary and high school at a tiny town, McGee, Arkansas, where he graduated before attending college at the University of Arkansas at Monticello, where he received his bachelor's degree. During his college years, he took a break from school and enrolled in the Marine Corps from 1968 to 1972. After returning from the military and graduating from college, Mr. Akins established his own business, which he ran for 10 years. Although he had numerous options for a lifetime career, his passion for education and serving people called him to the field of teaching, where he enjoyed great success for over 30 years. Mr. Akins' first teaching job was in a small school where he taught science and math for 5 years. At this time, he returned to college at LSU Monroe, where he acquired his master's degree in microbiology. Afterwards, he moved to Texas and taught science at Kirbyville for 11 years before moving to Warren, where he has passionately served to the present. When attempting to identify the most impressive qualities of Mr. Akins, we call to mind a man of high standards and expectations. The level of performance he demands from his students is such that each student's potential is maximized. He expects students to be the best they can be and will not compromise his standards for their lack of effort. He manages to get from students what many other teachers only hope for. When his students graduate from high school and attend college, they return to thank him for preparing them for that level of achievement. They consistently state that his classes gave them more advantage than all others throughout high school. Although Mr. Akins is viewed by many as hard or tough, students develop an appreciation for him that makes them want to learn. This is largely due to the fact that he immerses himself into the whole school environment. His respect for his position as teacher finds him wearing a tie on most days, where he lectures, models, and practices high quality teaching and learning with his students. However, you might see him with his scrubs on when his HOSA group is sponsoring a campus blood drive. At Halloween, you might find him appearing as the mad scientist while his advanced chemistry class performs experiments for the elementary students. At homecoming, you will find him on the patio doing the Cupid Shuffle or the limbo with the student body at our annual homecoming patio party. He has been a main supporter of the spirit of our pep rallies and ball games, where he has led our student body in dress-up days and spirit competitions. This extraordinary involvement with students outside the normal classroom setting creates within his students a sense of appreciation for his high standards in the classroom. Mr. Akins has demonstrated outstanding leadership among his peers, serving on numerous committees and sponsorships. His advice is sought on many crucial decisions involving curriculum, instruction, scheduling, and such. His involvement with other campuses establishes genuine respect throughout our district, which is why he was chosen as the Warren ISD Teacher of the Year. Mr. Akins does have a life outside school. Being an old country boy, he enjoys the outdoors where hunting and fishing are his pastime. As his formal teaching career is drawing to a close, his desire is to return to his old stomping ground in Arkansas, where he hopes to relax and enjoy some fishing. His service to our school will be remembered always. He has left a beautiful mark on our district, on the field of education in general, and on the lives of all those he has touched. He has been a true asset to us all. We congratulate him on this prestigious honor and wish him ultimate happiness in life. So wanted to read that because that kind of sums up his life as far as the man that we know. Some of you don't know his personal life, and I wanted to share a little bit of that. He has been in the military. He's a country boy. He's a farm boy. He's all those different things. And but in the classroom, he's usually got a tie on, and so you wouldn't guess some of those things just when you see him there in the classroom. But he's a great guy, great teacher. The kids love him. We all love him. We thank you very much, Mr. Akins. And he has maybe decided that he's going to stay one more year and not retire this year, which is a blessing to us.
That sounds like great news. Thank you.
Did we have any board members that wanted to say anything before we move on? I just can't reiterate enough. I think there's there's a quote that talks about, the good teacher explains and the superior teacher demonstrates, but the greatest teacher inspires. And it sounds like all of these teachers inspire things.
Ms. Boyette, I'd like to say thank you to each of them for their service and dedication. It's making a difference in our children's lives, and it's much appreciated.
Hey, I'd like
Dr. Boyette. Dr. Boyette.
Mr. Burks, I think that Mr. Akins, I don't know if he's on there, if he'd like to have a chance to speak. I don't think he got a chance to speak.
Yes, Mr. Akins, if you're there, go ahead.
We make this thing work?
Yes, sir. We can hear you.
I just want to say thank you to everybody. I appreciate the honor, but I miss my kids. I'll be glad when August gets here. I'm bored. I need to see my kids.
I can only imagine it's tough on all of y'all, I'm sure, to be away from them for this long. I would imagine.
I'd like to say thank you to all the great teachers, and Mr. Akins, Gracie said thank you for all you've done. She appreciates you.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. My son Josh still talks about you and how you did help him prepare him for college. I'm definitely grateful for that.
Thank you.
Dr. Boyette, if I could say one thing.
Go ahead. I think she got booted off, but
Okay.
Go ahead. We're listening.
All right. Well, Mr. Burks, appreciate it, sir.
Yes, sir.
There was not a whole lot left to say after Mr. Sweeney did his thing. I had written down a few notes, but I just wanted to tell everybody, I've been so impressed with Mr. Akins over the years. When he first moved to us, he was teaching, the upper level courses, the physics and calculus and all of those courses. And the kids in those courses, you have to treat them a little bit different. They have to be challenged a lot more to really get them going. And he did that. And like you said, Josh, speaks highly of him all the time. As other members in his classes that he had at that time speak very highly to me about him. And so I want to tell Mr. Akins, thank you for that. Then when he came back, he retired for about a year, then came back to us. And Mr. Sweeney told me when he came back that he asked to teach some of the introductory courses to the kids. And that's what he wanted to do. And Mr. Sweeney let him do that. And I want to tell you, he had that same rapport with the, you know, the honor students or the AP students that he did with the introductory kids. Those kids got in, he had the same high standards, and they learned, and they saw him as a good teacher. And I know they appreciate him as a colleague and someone near the same age. I just want to thank Mr. Akins for his years of teaching. I'm glad you're going to come back another year. I tell the teachers all the time in beginning of school that education and be a teacher is a vocation. You don't go into it to make money. You go into it because you care about students and kids, and you want them to grow and to mature. And Mr. Akins has done that. He's been the a pinnacle of a good teacher and wanting the best for his kids. So Clarence, I want to tell you, thank you for everything that you do and everything that you've touched the kids. And one thing that I did have on my list, but Mr. Sweeney did mention it, you were in the Marine Corps, and you were there in 68, 70, in that time range during the height of the Vietnam War. That was a very tough time to be in the military. My dad was in the military at that time, and it was very tough. It was very tough on the men and women in the uniform, and I appreciate you for your service. Thank you for your service, especially during that very trying time and emotional time in our country's history. So thank you, Mr. Akins. I'm proud of you, and I'm glad that you and I have got to spend a few lunches together, a couple of dinners together. So I'm looking forward to seeing you again next fall. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you, Mr. Patty. Appreciate it.
Thank you, Mr. Petty. Do we still not have Dr. Boyette back?
I'm so sorry. I came up here to the boardroom to make sure I had good connectivity, and our entire internet went down. So sorry. I'm back. Hopefully we won't have that happen again. Before, did you already go on, Mr. Burks?
No, man. We just Mr. Patty was just speaking about.
Oh, good.
Mr. Akins.
Okay.
So now we are on number 6, information items reports, the superintendent report.
We actually have one more tribe tribute that came up between the time we put this, but it does still work under board recognition. Mr. Sweeney has with us Ty Lambert, and I think his mom is on as well, who has earned recognition for outstanding PSAT scores, which to hopefully put him in the running for national merit recognition, which would be amazing. But nonetheless, he'll be, in competition for scholarship money because of these scores. So I'll let Mr. mention that before we go on, if that's okay, President Burks.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Boyette. Yeah, it is, again, my privilege to recognize another individual, and this is one of our students, Ty Lambert. He is a junior, an outstanding young man, outstanding student. He took the PSAT test back in the fall, and his score came back very high. He scored in the top 2.5% of the rural schools of Texas, and so that established him as eligible for recognition through the College Board for those high PSAT scores. And I think he scored a 690, which is an extremely high score on each of his tests, making a total score of 1380 on the verbal as well as the math combined. And that is a very, very good score, a difficult test. He's represented our school very well, and as Dr. Boyette said, that's going to open the door for him down the road for some future opportunities, and we're just very, very thankful. And one other thing I'd like to say about Ty, he's not just a smart kid. Ty is a fine young man. He has a strong sense of morals and values and work ethic, and his character and integrity are impeccable. He is just a very, very fine young man, and we're very fortunate to have him on our student body, and we're very thankful for the representation that he has shown for us. Thank you very much, Ty.
Hi, if you're on here and we can see you, we just want to say congratulations and thank you for representing us so well. And congratulations, Mom. Job well done. I don't know if either one of them are there. I see their name.
See Kristen, her name on the panelist, on the participants, I guess.
You can see Roy on the phone. He may not be able to unmute him at the time. He's kind of keeping us up and running. But again, thank you to Lambert, and congratulations to Ty. All right, Mr. Burks, I think you asked me to head on over to 6A. Is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so let me pull up. I'm going to share my screen with you now. Well, I said that. It appears that everything I had pulled up before the meeting is now gone. Yay. Whenever it went down, it all tore. So I tell you what, if you can bear with me 1 second, I'm going to go over to Board Book and pull that up because it's important that you guys be able to see that. Can you see that? Let's see if I can download it real quick.
The resolution is what you're wanting pulled up?
Yes.
Okay.
Can you see it?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so you guys can see it on the screen. All right. So first and foremost, just kind of want to go over with you. I think that's up there. I hope.
I'm not seeing it.
All right, hang on. Let me click share. How about now?
It's loading now.
Okay, so under this amended resolution, as you guys may recall, we did a resolution early on, and then this is an additional one that as things have evolved, that as changes have come from the governor and changes have come from Commissioner Morath and TEA, that are recommended from our attorneys and from TASA and from TASB. So these aren't things that I've either requested or wanted, and I promise this is no opportune ploy for some sort of power grab or anything like that on my behalf. This is the recommendation from those entities who are saying, in worst case scenario, here are some things you may need to have already passed so that you won't have to have those emergency board meetings every 3 days or so. And a couple I wanted to rationale on just before we go very further. Number one, regarding pay. This one seems to be an extremely hot topic right now. Number one, because if you look at our local policy, and I'm going to try to pull that up. I don't know how I can share two at once, but maybe I just swap this over. But if you, can you see DEA now? Can you give me a thumbs up if you can see this policy? No. All right, so I'm going to have to stop sharing the other one then. All right, and let me share the new one.
It was still the resolution was what was shared.
Okay, so yeah, I had to stop sharing that one and come back to this one. So that's a little slower, but if we go to our policy right here under premium pay during disasters, what we're being told by TASB and our attorneys is, number one, this was written, and disaster, they're referring to things like hurricanes. So this was put into your policy. If you look at the revision in the new update, right? So that was after when everybody's having to use FEMA, et cetera. They're not necessarily classifying what we're having right now, even though we've been emergency closed, as a disaster. It's getting its own, you know how FEMA kind of changes the rules? You guys have probably experienced some of that before, where you received some money and then you ended up having to pay it back years later because they changed the rules after the fact. So this is kind of one of those incidents, because in our policy, it says that non-exempt employees who are required to work because you're closing disaster shall be paid. So this resolution gives me the opportunity to supersede that and stop that pay as quickly as is feasible for our district without having to call another meeting. So it could be that we decide tomorrow to send out a memo and say we're only going to provide premium pay for 2 hours a week as opposed to the 4 hours we're doing now to 25 employees. And then next week we decide we're going to send out a memo and we're going to change. We're only going to give premium pay to 10 employees that we need to do XYZ. So it allows me to be able to do that quickly without us having to have a board meeting every 3 days or so. Because initially when we passed the first resolution to put in the premium pay, we never dreamed they were going to close school to the end of May, right? So now we don't know that we can pay premium pay through the end of May as we are currently doing. Even though we're going to be giving out meals and things like that. So this gives us the authority to adjust as we need to. And I think you guys have worked with me now long enough to know that I'm very conservative with spending. So certainly this resolution would only be for us to cut back and not to expand what we already have. So I just kind of wanted to share with you what our policy says and the need for the resolution and rationale for so that, you know, I'm completely transparent and you guys can make a good decision on whether or not you want to include that in this piece. So let me go back to the resolution and talk about another part of it. I believe this is it. If you look at number 4, again, these are written for everybody in the state. And while we don't have nearly the number of cases in some of the large areas, the protection here is in, let's say I get it, or I get it and 3 other members get it, and get it to the point that we're hospitalized. You could still have someone run a meeting and have a quorum, but they're saying, would that be in the best interest of the district? So this is not to say, of course, that any decision such as that would not have consultation with the board president, but that was the rationale for why it was written. Very much just to say, you know, if the superintendent's going, you know, everybody's saying, well, we can still meet and we don't have this problem on our board. But again, you know that there are boards that are not nearly as high functioning and get along as well as ours do, that might not be willing to cancel a board meeting because people are in the hospital, and this would give the superintendent the authority to do so. And again, we can adopt this resolution and strike number 4. That's fine. I'm just presenting it as it was presented to me. But I wanted you to know the rationale for why that is there. And because normally canceling a board meeting is a board function, not a function for me. All the rest of these are functions, you know, pretty much related to, not related to policy, other than number 9. And again, I don't anticipate, I hope, and I think this may be our last board meeting virtually, so number 9 may not apply, but again, it's there in case we're wrong, because we don't have a crystal ball, and it does make it easier to continue to do it the way in which we've done the last 2. So, any questions for me on the resolutions? Did I cover all of them that might cause concern for you? I know that those are kind of touchy ones to board members across the state. So I just wanted, you know, they kind of gave us guidance on what to share with you about the rationale behind those.
Hey, Dr. Boyette.
Hi, Mr. Fry. Yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, no, I've just got a few questions. You said these came from the lawyers and some guidance from TASB.
Yes, sir.
And I mean, I'm just making a statement. I mean, we're elected to fulfill a lot of these responsibilities and functions, whether it's during the good times or the bad. So, and I think we've proven that, you know, in the event that we do need to have a meeting, that we can move pretty quickly, you know, via the technology that we're using now. And what the emergency board meeting calls for 2 hours notice. Am I right? 2 or 3 hours notice?
That is correct.
Okay. No, I'm just trying to put my arms around it, because when I opened this up on Board Book Friday, when it hit the Board Book, I was surprised by the number of line items. And as you said, you know, a lot of these things, you know, are our responsibilities as a board, as a elected board for oversight. And I just want to get some feedback from the other board members, what they thought about some of these line items.
And certainly I do not covet the idea of having any of your responsibilities. I have enough of my own, I can assure you. But I can say that, again, the scope of these is written, you know, worst case scenario. Hopefully we wouldn't have to use any of them. But
I guess go ahead.
I was just going to say that, you know, in worst case scenario, you're correct. We could have an emergency meeting, but what if we couldn't get a quorum together in time, but yet we needed to take action on something? That's the only issue. And again, I have no problem with adopting it and striking any one of the items that you guys feel as a entity that you're not comfortable with having, because ultimately we're the ones that have to do this stuff. So it's a recommendation, like I said, written by attorneys for a mass number of districts, and it may not apply to us. And that's certainly your call as a governing body. I think you were going to say something else, Mr. Fry. Did I?
Yeah, I'm trying to remember what what it was. What I was going to say.
It happened.
Give me a minute. Maybe it'll come back. Maybe somebody else wants to talk.
Okay.
I'll be honest with you. Number 4 was the only one that give me any concern. And I guess it's because we just haven't had that problem, and we've had anytime that we needed a meeting, our guys are there. You know, that's
100%. You're right. And like I said, if you guys want to adopt it as amended, then we can change the motion to say just that.
right. And number 1, when I first read it, I was like, I wasn't sure, but with your explanation, I'm good with that now.
I think I'm going to have to get with Mr. Daigle and Mr. Ling pretty quickly on that. I mean, we weren't anticipating it going to the end of May.
Right.
You know, we're going to have to make some adjustments there. But under our current policy without this resolution, unless we want to change policy. And then again, that would have to go through TASB and be approved, blah, 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 which ultimately we may want to change the policy as a result of this that says, you know, something other than shall, or shall at the discretion of, or something. You know, I feel like, according to the attorneys, that probably new verbiage will come in policy update 116 or 115, because everybody's in this boat right now. And like I said, many people are trying to send out memos to change their premium pay this week.
Dr. Boyette?
Yes.
I guess, I mean, just speaking for me, I guess I'm like Rocky. I would definitely like to see number 4 struck, because that's something that I mean, that's our meeting, right? So we need to maintain that. And I guess the rest of them I could go along with, but number 4 I do have some heartburn with. So
Terry, I agree with you. It is our responsibility to do whatever we can to make this meeting happen in an emergency. So I think we can pull it off if we have to.
I agree.
Sounds good. again, that'll have to be a motion you guys make and pass, but certainly I understand your concern.
And the only other comment was I didn't see where there was a effective start and end date for this resolution. So that may be something that we'd want to include. How long is this resolution in effect for?
And again, we'll take board action. So we could do that at the next meeting or at the next emergency meeting if that, were to come up, and you set forth those dates in a board meeting. So right now it's good till the end of May, until our next meeting.
Okay, that's all that I had.
Mr. Burks, if there's any other board member comment. If not, it would take place under the business items, and we could go to item B.
Do we want to go ahead and do that and skip over the other ones? Is that what you want to do?
No, sir, I would recommend we just wait till item 8
Okay.
as amended, so that way who's going to make the motion can kind of change the wording and do it.
Okay. So B is graduation plan?
It is. So let me stop sharing this resolution and pull up. As many of you know, I regularly communicate with our board members just to let them know kind of what's going on. And one of the things that we recently had was a webinar much like this one with our seniors and their parents. And we shared with them our plan A, plan B, plan C for graduation. I want to just first go on and say that today, as you guys know, the governor pulled back the executive order on many of the restrictions. So restaurants and things like that will be able to be open on Friday. But you may have noticed if you watched, the Commissioner of Education was not present, very noticeably absent. And there was absolutely no mention of schools because he has closed schools. And when you in the order, he closed schools, he closed school facilities, which includes venues for graduation. The stadium is a school facility. So the interpretation and the advice that we're getting right now is that we have to opt as if we're still closed with regard to graduation. Now, again, we have a meeting on Thursday with Commissioner Morath. All of that could change. And if it does, we have plans in place to have graduation in multiple different venues, or places anyway, in different formats, I guess would be a better word than venue. But did want to share with you guys what we gave to the seniors and their parents, and that's what's on the screen now, that we would stage our seniors in the parking lot over by the track, and then stage our parents, let me blow it up a little bit, down in the parking lot in front of the gym. Now, again, we are still very much in the planning of these logistics. If we find that the student at the very end of the line cannot see the stage, then we're not going to do it in the same manner. We'll move it over to the parking lot between Warren Elementary and the track, which is now labeled the staging area. We could move it there instead and put our stage here. But just for the purpose of sharing with you what we shared with them briefly, the students will stage in one area. The parents will stage in front of the stage that the students will walk across, because what we want to do is obviously not violate any orders that are currently in place, but also has normal graduation possible. So we'll start the music, the processional would come, the students would come follow these yellow arrows and in cars, and they would be double spaced, right? Like it's not side by side, but later they could see, so we could get 2 cars side by side. And they will come in to, hang on. They will come to the corner of the parking lot.
Go yet? Your audio's breaking up pretty bad right now to me.
Okay, Roy, can you help me on that?
It-
Is that better? Sometimes if I turn it up or down the volume a little bit, that helps. Can I keep?
Better now.
What did it say?
That's
Okay.
good.
Okay. So right here in this arrow, and you see this little area here, you guys are all familiar with the gym entrance. That little tree right there, that first car would be our valedictorian, right? And then the top 10% would be the next cars in line, and then alphabetically after that, all the streets. And right now, we're not certain if we can get every one of our graduates 67. I think it is 70 somewhere around there. If we do side to side and them still be able to see, and if they can't, again, we're going to move the other parking lot that's bigger and from my visitor parking. Anyway, now this is just gives you the idea. So it's car one, give her a speech, like stuff, and all the family will be parked out here, and we have mapped that out, like our family in that area, in addition to the one car that's pulling. So mom and dad could drive the graduate and other 4 or 5 other family members in another car. So you'd be able to get 5, 6, 7 people easily there to see it. Which I realize is not the same as an unlimited amount, but under the circumstances, this is what we felt like was most normal, so to speak. So anyway, when we get ready to call names, the student will exit the passenger side of the car and walk onto a 4-foot high stage, go up the steps, receive, and then the car would proceed up here before calling the other side of the stage. Mom could get out, take a picture, right close and the stage. The student name would be called. They walk across. They would pick up their own diploma off of a table under the current orders. You know, again, if things get light lessons, then we can do more. But whoever they wanted, quote unquote, hand their diploma would be in the picture with them, and just if they were receiving it, you know, hand in hand. And then they would go down to the 4-foot tall stage in their parent car and proceed in line, and then the line keeps progressing until we end up right the same way we started, with you know, number 1 being right here, and then all the way back. So that is what we're calling our drive-through graduation, much like kind of a drive-in movie type style. We did contact KJAS, the radio station, and kind of like when you go and look at Christmas lights, and the lights are synchronized with the music. They have agreed to give us our own radio station for the night, and so that we can transmit into the cars. We also, Mr. Moore will be doing the drone videos, so we'll be streaming. Everybody will be able to hear it very well. Prime seating, you know, for your most intimate, close family members, and simulating the walk across the stage, which is the primary part of a graduation ceremony, as we have come to know it, will be preserved in the way in which we have it currently set up. And again, this will all, you know, we're being very flexible. It could be that everything gets lifted and we can have it on the football field, like we planned to do back last year when this calendar was adopted. You know, that would be the best case scenario. But we have to plan for all these alternatives, and we have, and we are, and we will have as close to possible normal graduation. Now, just to kind of give you an idea about why we decided to do is students who are entering the military cannot do so until they are certified graduates. So we didn't want to delay those plans for those kids. Also, we have students maybe want to work in the plants. It was entry level, you know, at those nighttime shifts and things like that. Again, don't delay their or prohibit their ability to participate. We're trying to really maximize participation. If we could also see to that that it was as normal as we could be under the circumstances. So I just kind of wanted to share with you what we shared with our parents And if I missed anything, Mr. Sweeney, please chime in, help me out. If not, I'm happy to answer questions.
Dr. Boyette, you're still cutting up quite a bit. Roy is working on it, so I apologize, everybody. He's running around here trying to figure out why we're cutting in and out.
Gotcha. I see that in the chat. And he's right here with me now, so we are trying to work on it. Did I have any questions? If anyone did hear me, Mr. Sweeney or Jan, if y'all could take the questions or shoot me texts as they come in.
No, Tammy, I actually listened in on it the other day, and I thought it went well with the parents.
Oh, great. Good. That's good feedback. Thank you.
I couldn't hear everything you were saying a moment ago because of the audio, but I think you covered pretty much all the main points that we talked about.
Okay. And if there's any questions regarding what I just asked, you know, throw them out there now. I don't mind repeating it and throwing that back up on the screen if I need to. And I apologize. I never would have dreamed I would have had any issues in our own boardroom to have a board meeting. So I don't know what's really going on, but we're going to get it worked out.
No other questions, guys?
Rocky, I have a question.
Yes.
Dr. Boyette might have said it and I just didn't hear it. Will we have the valedictorian speech or not?
Yes, sir. Absolutely. 100%. And again, depending on how many people can be on that stage, she may be able to come up to the stage and give her speech there, or she may have to have a microphone and do it from standing beside her car. But regardless, she will be broadcast through KJAS, which will be on radio station. You know, anybody in Warren would be able to hear them, even people who attend, and also broadcast through streaming like we're doing now. So grandparents in another state that couldn't travel could see it. But 100%, we're going to preserve that order just the way you always have done it.
Yes, ma'am.
So that they are, you know, recognized for all the honor that they deserve.
Yes, ma'am.
Dr. Boyette, if I might add, as far as the program, like she said, everything's going to be pretty close to normal. The one change, and some of you board members may like the change, because it does reduce some of the length. I like, you know, recognizing all of the scholarships and things of that nature, because it brings such great honor to the kids in front of that kind of audience. But there's no way that we can do the scholarships this year in the way that we've done them before, where we have the different presenters come up. So as Mr. Patty is reading the names of the graduates, he will announce their honors at that time. And that way
we'll list it in the program.
Yeah, and it'll be in the program as well. Yes. And but they'll be recognized in that fashion, as opposed to being individually brought up to the stage for a scholarship like they have before.
It sounds good to me.
Awesome. All right. Thank you. And again, if you think of something, you guys know you can always shoot me a text or an email or call me or whatever you need to do. And because I want you to be really comfortable with it. And know this, all of us that are helping in this planning, have either been principals or, you know, lifelong educators and certainly value this time-honored tradition and ceremony, but also have been parents and cannot imagine what it would be like to have not have a graduation ceremony that was every bit befitting a graduate. And so we are going to do our very, very best to preserve it to the hilt. So please rest assured there.
Mr. Brown's not here with us today, but he had relayed to me that the only concerns that he had heard were some people wanting to maybe delay it, but I just really don't think that's an option, honestly. I mean, it's not going to be ideal for everybody, no matter what we do, but I just delaying it. How long? You know, you just don't know. So
absolutely.
I think what you're doing, best way to go.
Thank you for that. Us too. We waited. You know, a lot of people are, you know, doing a lot of different things, but we feel like this is the best fit for us.
the fact that it's going to be on the radio and they can, you know, tune into that station and either watch it or listen to it. It's probably more of an opportunity than that for ones that live states away than what they had before. So it's a good idea.
Yeah. And like I said, they get to get out of their car and walk across that stage, which is what those people who are doing virtual will not get to do. And we just said, we felt like we could do that and still be at 10 or fewer people on the stage. And so we knew that that wouldn't make us in violation of any court order. So, and again, it may all be out the window by then, but as it is right now, you know, it is what it is. So thank you then for the time on that.
And no other questions, guys? The Summer Leadership Institute.
Right. I'm just going to briefly mention that we did, that registration has opened for that annual trip for the board to San Antonio. We do have rooms for everybody, and please be on the lookout for an email from Terry Babineau, just basically kind of getting you to RSVP. You're not committed because we can cancel up to 24 hours in advance, but just let her know that you know it's on your calendar and all that kind of good stuff, so that we can try to make plans, you know, for dinner and all that kind of good stuff. And now that the restaurants and things like that are opening up, we can feel pretty sure that it's going to happen. But some of you may not feel comfortable going to a place like San Antonio. You're like, I'm good out here in Warren, but I may not want to go to San Antonio with all, you know, drive through Houston and blah, blah, blah. So that's why we wanted to send out an email and let you guys know that we did book rooms for everybody and your spouses if you want to bring them, but we just need kind of an RSVP head count from you guys. And we can change it. You're not held to it all the way up to 24 hours before. So that was all for that one. That was quick and easy.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you. The CAO report, Ms. Knott.
Hi, everybody. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Good to see you. So I just have a few things for you that I needed to cover for tonight. Is it okay for me to hit all three of my agenda items, or are they in separate places? I can hit them all? Okay, good. A few things. One, I wanted to let you know that even with this crazy time that we're living in, we've been working on professional development for next year. So before actually everything started, we were able to sit down with the principals and kind of develop our plan, which you have a copy of, a draft plan for professional development for all of our staff when we come back for the 2019-20 school year. I haven't been able to really secure or determine exactly what we're going to do for PD because I'm waiting to see what format we're going to do that in when we return. And are there going to be any additional items that we need to add to that professional development in August? But you can see that you have a calendar. I think you have access to that for the whole school year next year, what professional development will look like as we continue as a district. In addition to that, I just wanted to touch briefly on the reading academies. We have several things that we have to decide about reading academies with House Bill 3, but you know, there's all the rumors that is House Bill 3 even going to be on the radar for next year? You know, is there going to be money to pay for that? All those things. But we have a plan in place for House Bill 3. As part of House Bill 3, all of our teachers, K through 3, we need to get them trained one way or another, and it is very costly. The state is charging us quite a bit of money to do that. The cheapest model is called a blended learning model, and that's where they'll have an instruction. They'll have some instruction online and some face-to-face instruction, but it is still very expensive per teacher that you have to have trained. It would be nice if we could have a cohort leader who led and did all of our training here in-house, but again, that's very costly. So we've developed two plans. In order to have a cohort leader here on campus, on our campuses, that would actually train our staff internally so we wouldn't have all the extra cost, they have to pass what's called a screener first. So we can't even consider hiring someone as a cohort leader that we would send off to training this summer unless they pass the screener. We have several teachers who volunteered at this time to attempt to pass the screener. But at this point, it'll be summer before I know exactly if we have anybody or not. So what we'll have to do if House Bill 3 is still in effect and we have to do reading academies is develop a plan for training our principals and our elementary staff for those reading academies. And so we'll sit down and we'll start to talk about what is that model going to look like as a district. It can get very expensive very quickly. So we're trying to look at what is, you know, the best route for us in Warren ISD, you know, how are we going to do it? We have 3 years to get all of our staff trained. That's the great news. So we can do a little bit each year should this still be pressing when we move around to the fall in August. So there are 2 different approaches that we can take. We're working on it. I'm really waiting to see, are we going to have any teachers who pass that screener? And then we'll sit down and crunch numbers and look at what's the most effective for us as a district. So that's for the Reading Academy update. The last thing that you have, that we have on the agenda is the educator appraisal waiver. This is something that had to be approved by the district advisory committee and then has to also be approved by the board. So because schools were closed, we do have a few teachers that did not get to have their T-test appraisals completed. In fact, many of them didn't probably get their summatives, but we didn't get their formal evaluations completed in time, which means we have some teachers here on staff that we didn't complete the entire process. So we're going to have to apply for the waiver from the state because we won't be able to get those completed before the end of the school year. So I have to bring this up to the board. We have to approve it as a board. It's already been approved by the district advisory committee. And then we'll have to sit down and talk a little bit about how that impacts evaluations for next year. That's the last leg of this. Once I apply for the waiver, we'll have to look back at our policy and determine what are we going to change. Do we need to change anything next year as it relates to appraisals? Now, this appraisal waiver is not just for teachers. It's for anybody. It's also for principals. It's also for superintendents. If we didn't complete that formal process and we're not able to complete that for everybody at this time, once we approve this waiver, it allows us to waive the process for everyone.
Yeah, and I want to interject here. Thank you for helping me remind me to make sure that they know that impacts everybody. But in addition to, it doesn't necessarily mean you cannot continue with evaluations. It's just that you continue exactly as prescribed. So that's why it's also on our agenda to discuss in executive session my appraisal, because clearly we're not going to have any scores, and you're supposed to use our test scores as part of my evaluation, just like we use T-tests, you know, as part of the growth monitor. They say they're going to improve, blah, blah, blah. So without those scores, that's part of the reason also for the waiver, because you have those things to look at that you would normally consider.
And that's it for me. Anybody have any questions? Billy, no question from you? I'm shocked.
Oh, thank you, Ms. Knott.
Thank you, Ms. Knott.
You're welcome.
Oh, now the
You better let sleeping dogs lie there, Miss Knott.
I know.
The CFO report, Mr. Lane. Thank you, Ms. Knott.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay. The first part is the COVID-19 update. We have filed with FEMA for our disaster that they've set it up as a disaster, just like what Harvey was. We don't have a person assigned to us this year. It's going directly to TEDM, which is the Texas disaster group. They have a contractor that's contacted us. We've been getting all the paperwork filled out with them. And I went over with them where we were to this point. We have set up a separate account code, function 89, which is anything that is over and above our normal expenditures. We're coding to that particular expenditure, which is like the premium pay that we're talking about. To this point, actual expenditures out of this 89 code are right at about $13,000. Now that's with 1 month of premium pay. Now the premium pay is what is over and above what they would have normally been paid. So if a bus driver was going to make X amount of money, premium pay is anything above that. That's what we can claim with FEMA. And the FEMA is, for this particular disaster with us, is a 75-25 reimbursement, so that we absorb 25% of the cost on the FEMA or the COVID-19 money. They'll reimburse us 75% at the end of the process, which means if this goes on for a year, it'll be a year before we get our money, so we have to be able to fund it. And that's the way any of them are set up. But that's where we are right now and how much money we have actually spent to this point. Now we are delivering the meals, and we will be able to collect the money from Texas Department of Agriculture for the meals that we're delivering, just like what we would have normally been able to collect that money. So we'll be bringing in fairly close to our regular amount of revenue, which is unusual. Many of the school districts have just dropped the, this has kind of gone away. We're one of the districts actually working in, and we're going to collect a good bit of money on this from the method that we have done it. Any questions on that so far? None?
You got to unmute, Billy. I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Now, can you hear me, Mr. Lane?
I can hear you now. Yeah. I can see you too.
I know, oh, thank you. I know we've spent some money, but shouldn't we have saved a little bit on subs and fuel and lights and stuff such as that?
Oh, sure. We
Well,
won't
I agree, get all the money we can get from FEMA, but I mean, there should be a small amount of silver lining, because I know during the spring, we spent lots of money on substitutes.
Now, the problem with substitutes is what was sent to y'all beforehand, and we're still waiting to see what the full impact of that will be.
Right. But I mean, as many substitutes as we hire for baseball and ag and everything, surely a little bit of unemployment, surely it should wash, don't you think?
No.
Oh, come on, McLean. We spend lots of money on substitutes.
We do.
It would do some. It would do some, yes.
But I will tell you, one of the things that's so scary, and I'm sure Terry is about to tell you about it, but our oil and gas monies that we have been counting on, we are now at 50% of our normal revenue in Warren.
Yes.
So that money, that's gonna, that's, I mean, that's all we have. So I'm sure Mr. Ling, go ahead. I didn't take your thunder.
Oh, no. It's the next point that we have down here. I got plenty of lightning and thunder with that one. As she said, Dr. Boyette met with David Luther and the county judge, and I believe a few of the other leaders. David Luther informed us that we're down by 50% in our oil and gas valuation. That's about $23 million. Now, on the general fund, we don't have that valuation anymore. That shifts to the state for the maintenance and operation general fund. The problem comes with the debt service side of it. Okay, because we just have a fixed amount that we get from the state on debt service, and we're one of the few districts that gets money for debt service. But that $23 million translates into about $80 million, I'm sorry, I used the $1 million, $80,000 of revenue that we would lose on the debt service side. That's part of what we still have to pay our bonds no matter what. And so we have to make up that $80,000 of revenue either from transferring money over from the general fund or from, this is the horrible word, raising more taxes. Okay, one of the two methods, because we still have to make the bond payment no matter what. Now, we have lowered our bond payment, through the refinancing methods that we've done, from about 1.5 million to about $1.4 million per year, which helps a bunch. But still taking a hit like this, and now that's just on the oil and gas revenue. We don't know what's going to come up from the other valuations.
And lest we forget, we already lost 300,000 due to our property value study that they've already taken to us.
Yes.
And I didn't have time to get this in the board book for you, but I want you to look at this. I don't know if you guys can see, but we are at 47% loss compared to everybody else. Did y'all see that okay? Yeah. So, I mean, Tyler County in and of itself is down 27%. Chester 28, Colonial 34, Spurger 7. So they're basically holding their own. But Warren is down 47.7% of what we normally collect. And then Woodville's only at 23.4%. So nobody's getting hit by the property value study but us. And nobody's being hit as hard at this point as we are. So again, now we're chalking up to about $400,000 out of that $2 million extra that we got from House Bill 3, which is why we haven't spent. We're just really worried about the comptroller is sending up some red flags that have us all a little bit worried about the sustainability of.
Now, one thing we will have more information on is on May either 1st or 2nd. The comptroller has to release what the state revenues are that he collected during the month of April. That will tell us a whole bunch about what's going on, whether the hit's going to be as bad as what we think or not as bad as what we think. We're just waiting to see what he releases on either May 1st or May 2nd. That'll give us some good ideas.
And I don't know, can y'all hear me? Is everything okay? So I needed to share with you too, in this meeting, Mr. Luther shared that what they were going to do was, as far as their office was concerned, they're not closed, but they're not considering themselves essential workers. I was a little bit puzzled by that because can't think of a more essential function of government than tax assessment and collection, and I voiced that because the Attorney General shared their opinion that they felt like, but they weren't waiving any of the property tax code. And therefore, by not waiving that, it says to the tax assessors to do your job, right? That we need you to do this. And of course, I was there. I was the only school district there at that meeting because I'm the only one that lost $300,000. And I don't want to lose that much or more next year because we don't adjust property taxes. So he was very clear, the Attorney General, that said you cannot roll forward your current tax rolls. You have to provide the notice. So, my question was, well, could you at least reevaluate since you're on a skeleton crew? And it doesn't require you to be in contact with people, to go and assess a property. Couldn't you go ahead and do those in our area at least, you know, we discussed that and he didn't seem, well, he said he'd take it on advisement. Let's put it that way. But so we're looking at those sort of things right now because, again, without any change to what we get in January as far as our notice for next year's values, we're going to lose another $300,000 because we're not going to make the property value study. And so I just wanted to share with you that I did try to bring that up, but because, and the mayor, I will say that the judge, not the mayor, did also say, how is it you're not an essential? So he was going to look into that a little further as well. So we may get some support there. I'm going to circle back and follow up with that. And again, with this executive order being lifted today, that might help our case to get them to do at least you know, the 80 that we already had under the property value study, even though next year it'll be a different 80. But I did want to share with you guys that they haven't been doing anything other than what they call a maintenance year during this time that they've been off, which means they're just making sure your address and name are right. That's not a whole lot for us as far as what we need to have done. So,
which is a little irritating.
Slightly more than a little, but
yeah.
Yes.
Hey, Terry.
Yes.
What do we pay a year to the?
Sorry, I didn't quite catch that. Could you please repeat it?
To the board? Appraisal district?
It's, I'll double check it, but I believe it's about $230,000, but let me double check that number.
Is there any relief there if they're not going to be providing the service for us?
That's a great question.
That's kind of interesting. That
I mean, we're paying for something that we're not getting.
That's a really, really, really interesting question.
I'll circle back and see from that angle what we can do. I like it.
Yeah.
Maybe that'll shake the bushes on them.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're the third largest paying entity to the county pays, Woodville pays the second, and we pay the third largest amount.
I'm going to get an email to that effect tomorrow. I'll get back to you and let you know what I find out.
Yeah.
Is that everything, Mr. Lane?
That's other than we've gotten payroll off. We haven't been late on payroll. We still have plenty of cash in the bank. We got our payment in from the state on time. So for this year, we're clipping on along. Next year is when we're going to start worrying about it.
Before we leave this topic, Mr. Burks, may I have another moment along the property value type conversation agenda item?
Yes, ma'am.
So after the meeting with Mr. Luther at 10 a.m. that morning, at 1 o'clock that afternoon, I met with the mayor of the city of Ivanhoe and another gentleman whose name has escaped me, and but also from the city of Ivanhoe. And I don't know that we have the authority of this to do what they're asking us to do. So I'm glad Mr. Ling can be here to help research this, but it's kind of fresh, again, off the presses. But they brought in some pictures of some properties that are severely under-maintained to the point where they're not worth, they owe more back taxes and things such as that than they're worth for them to pursue. The question was, here's another picture of another property. These are abandoned and there's nothing, that's a kind of like a modular home, but you can see all the windows are knocked out. There's nothing inside of it, etc. But anyway, that's basically been a place for vandals and criminal mischief to occur, according to them. But they have made multiple attempts to get the people who owned it, and in some cases, this is like a little shack. I don't even know how it's still standing up. But anyway, in some cases, people have received these properties, maybe a death of a parent, and they live in 4 states away, and they never have any intention of coming back, have not maintained the taxes, etc. So what they're asking is there any way for us to forgive the tax burden that they have and then sell it?
That's the process that we go through with Lineberger. First off, we have to take it to the sheriff's sale and attempt to collect the full amount. And then once we go through the sheriff's sale, then we can represent it at a secondary auction. And that's where all the governmental entities then have to agree to like a percentage reduction and say, okay, we'll accept 20 cents on the dollar or 10 cents on the dollar and auction these pieces of property off at whatever they'll bring.
And then what they wanted to do is they wanted to add a stipulation that you can buy this at this, we'll forgive the debt or the tax burden, auction it off at, pennies on the dollar. And then the stipulation is within X amount, you're going to build a home there so that it goes back on the tax roll and we revamp. I just don't know if you can do it. I'm just telling you what I proposed.
I don't know. We'd have to get Lineberger, and Lineberger is their attorney too, is Ivanhoe's attorney too. So they do it for all of us at the same time.
Well, I just know that she being the mayor asked that we bring that to the board to see if you guys would be open to their exploring these options. So I wanted you to be able to kind of marinate on that. We're not asking to, for a motion or anything, but if you have any questions or concerns on that, please let me know and then I can get back with her and then we can move forward with the process Terry just outlined.
That process, I'm sure would be fine up until the point where if I buy this, I got to build a house on it. If I buy it, it's kind of hard to force me to build a house. You know what I'm saying? But at least if somebody buys it, you would think they'd be interested in paying the taxes on it anyway.
Right. I just didn't know if you guys would be willing to forgive the tax burden. Say, hey, you get a good enough deal to buy it for pennies on the dollar, but you're going to have to pay the back taxes. But their point is, when you got all this to clean up and clear out, by the time you do that and pay the taxes, you've spent more than the lot is worth.
Right.
We've actually done that before and had a big sale in the county courthouse down there where it was presented to our board and I believe it was 20 cents on the dollar.
Wow.
Was what everybody agreed to. And then there were some properties that wouldn't even do the 20 cents on the dollar. We had to come back and ask for a lower amount because they were so bad.
Yeah.
But 90% of what they're talking about doing there, we've actually done before, and that's plausible. But the building a house on it, I think that's where you run into the problem too.
Well, we'll let them take that up with Lineberger. But I just wanted to bring it, since we were talking about all this tax stuff and ways to try to generate some more money for our district.
Yeah, all we can get.
That's right. Thank you, Terry.
Okay.
The waiver update, Mr. Petty.
All right, I'm unmuted. I've got 2 waivers we're going to ask to TEA that we're going to ask for. The first one is the missed instructional days. All we're doing, we're simply getting the board's permission to ask for the waiver. At the end of the year, I will be able to send this waiver in when we know exactly how many days that we have missed. I can send that in. So I'll probably do it June the 1st. That's the Monday after graduation. So I'll know exactly how many days from March 17th through the end of the year, whatever date we stop, and then I can file that waiver that day. The other one is dealing with graduation requirements for seniors. There's several things that seniors have to do, several requirements. One of them that we were thinking about is like CPR training. I visited with Ms. Spivey a week ago on checking on some of these, and she told me there were just a handful of seniors that had not completed that CPR training yet. By asking for this waiver, those kids that had not finished that, they would be taken care of. That requirement would be waived. There's another requirement as far as law enforcement interaction with students. If they've not completed that, that could be waived. Ms. Spivey really was hoping that the seniors would be able to get those requirements done over the next few weeks, so we wouldn't have to ask for the waivers for that. But just for safety purposes, I want us to at least have the option or the approval by the board to ask for that waiver at the very end of school in case we have any seniors that still need to do that. So that's the two we're looking at: missed instructional waivers, and the others would be graduation requirements for seniors of this year. And so all the board is doing tonight, if you so agree, later on in your action items, is just give approval for Warren ISD to ask for those waivers. And that's it, Mr. Burks.
Thank you, sir. Any questions, guys? I take that as a no. Mr. Daigle, you're up next.
Good evening. This is the first time I've got to be in front of y'all, and I just want to say, hello, Billy Reed. I'd just like to say that I want to echo Miss Rebecca Norwood's comments in her essay about how good this place is. I've been other places, and the welcome that I've received, the dedication of the staff, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. So I thank you for allowing me that opportunity. Real quick, I just want to update you on my projects we're looking. I'm glad I got to follow Terry Lane because anything can be more upbeat than that. We're going to be looking at the entrance to the junior for security purposes. I think this has been talked about for a while, but we're going to modify the entrance to the junior high, adding doors, remodeling the junior high administration's offices where they can actually process people coming to the junior high, not buzzing a door that they can get to the junior high or the high school and nobody knows where they are. So we're going to do all the labor in-house, working on numbers. It's a little frustrating dealing with vendors that aren't in the oil and gas industry that take 15 days instead of 15 minutes to get you information, but I'm learning. Another project we're going to do is in the junior high, one of the junior high hallways, there's been a roof leak and a duct leak that has buckled tile floors. We're going to get a tile stripper. We're going to replace all the tiles. The roof has been repaired. The ductwork has been repaired. We already have the tiles on hand. Nothing but labor costs there. We're going to do that in-house. And then we're also looking at replacing an unsafe piece of playground structure and getting numbers in on that now and seeing how we can fund it. Hopefully we'll be able to save a little money if we have time this summer and install that ours and save $12,000 to $4,000 on that. So if any of you have any questions about what we're doing now, what we're planning on doing during the summer, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Just one other item, Burke, while they're marinating about questions they might have. do you plan to have the summer work crew employment initiative that they've had in the past where some of our students could apply to work for us in the summer?
I don't know a whole lot about it, but I'm certainly open to it, especially if I can get somebody to push them or to supervise them, excuse me.
Gotcha.
But
It's
we've
the same
been
thing.
talking. I'm sorry?
Same thing. Push, supervise. It's
Well,
all.
supervise in the school building, but anyway, yeah, I would like to do it. I think we have some painting and pressure washing and moving of some furniture and stuff that we could certainly utilize them. If, and I don't know how it's funded. It may be a grant or another program.
No, well, we
had two
budgeted
good-
for it. You're good. You got money to do it. It's whether you want to or not.
We can talk about it further if you have
Absolutely.
more information.
Absolutely. And just for your information, this probably isn't, the superintendent may get mad at me. Just to let you guys know, you folks know, we are servicing 890 students with meals for a Monday through Friday, breakfast and lunch, 890 students. I think the commitment is phenomenal from this district, and the work that transportation, food service, maintenance, custodial, just what I've been involved with is outstanding.
Thank you, Mr. Daigle. And pardon me for not knowing was it the E3, where everything going LED and all, is everything done with that now, or?
E3 is recommissioned and complete. We've signed off on the final invoice.
Okay. Thank you, sir. I'm assuming the oh my goodness, the chiller system and all is working better now, a little more efficient and all that business since we've done all that.
Absolutely. And another great thing you guys did was to hire Kevin Nettles, our HVAC technician. He is top notch.
Good. Sounds good. Any other questions, guys?
I was just going to say, Mr. Burks, that if we finally have that chiller going, that's about as good a news as I think that I've heard at a school board meeting in a long time, because that has been a thorn in our side since the day it was bolted in. So good job on that, Mr. Day.
Well, I'm sorry that I cannot take credit for any of that. Okay? I would love to.
Well, good job, Warren ISD.
I do have one other question. I know before with our septic, when there's not a whole lot of people there, we have issues with it. Is that still an issue, or we're not having a problem with that at all right now?
I haven't heard anything. Our third party is still doing the testing. Not an excuse, but I had 2 weeks here before before classes were suspended. So I've been trying to feed kids and run buses. I haven't been able to learn a lot about that side of it. We don't have any issues with the water treatment plant at this point, just normal run and maintain.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Thank you, sir. No other questions? We'll move on. Thank you, Mr. Daigle. Item number 7, the consent agenda. All items under the consent agenda are acted upon by one motion. Upon a board member's request, any of the consent agenda items shall be moved to the action portion of the regular agenda. Has everybody had a chance to look at it'll be the March 23rd, 2020 minutes, the March 2020 bills and accounts. Excuse me just a second. March 2020 tax office report, March 2020 financial statements, and a March 16, 2020 minutes.
Are you ready for a motion?
Yes, sir.
I'll make the motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I'll second it.
We have Terry Fry with a motion and Bert Moore with a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, the same sign. The motion passes. Item number 8, business items. Discussing and appropriate take action through the first amended resolution. That was the one we had in talked about with, or was that the waiver? Hold on. Or, no,
That's
the
the
full
one
resolution.
where we're going to strike item 4. So you'd be approving the resolution as presented with the amendment.
Right.
Mr. Burks, I'll make a motion that we approve the resolution as amended.
Have a second?
Second.
All right, we have a motion by and a second by Billy Reed to approve the amended resolution with striking number 4. And all those in favor say aye.
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 All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item B is discuss and if appropriate take action to approve the waivers. They've all been discussed and everything. Anybody have a question? If there's no questions, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion by Mr. Burt Moore and second by Mr. Terry Fry and to approve the waivers as recommended. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I'd like the motion to approve the waivers.
All opposed, same sign. The motion passes. Item 9, Dr. Boyette, are we needing executive session?
Yes, sir, we are.
Okay. And
So Mr. Moore has sent you in your inbox an invitation to an additional closed session. Mr. Moore, can you give them some advice on how to make sure they can come back to this meeting easily?
Yes, you can re-click the link you clicked earlier that's in a previous email. What I'm going to do actually while you're in closed session is I'll resend all of you the link. So just check the top of your inbox again. So for right now, the link to the closed section should be at the top of your inbox. And when you're done with it, the link to return will be at the top of your inbox as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
okay, it is now 8:58 p.m. The board will convene into executive session as authorized by the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Section 551.001, concerning but not limited to the following sections and purposes under Texas Government Code 551.071, 072, 073, 074, 075, 076, 082, 083, and 551.084. All final action, decision, or vote shall be taken in open session. We'll go to the open session, or the executive session now.
Dr. Boyette, do you need us to continue staying around or are we done?
You're done.
Thank you, ma'am. Y'all have a good evening. Thank you, Mr. Burks.
Thank you, Mr. Petty.
And we're back.
Hey, can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
My wife and daughter are blowing my phone up the whole time. Just texting. They have me in a group message. I'm gonna kill them when I get through here.
They forgot you had a board meeting. Yeah, my daughter sent me a text. Hey, could you bring home some eggs? I was like, please.
Oh my goodness.
They forget we're doing stuff, I guess.
Oh, she came in here a while ago and set a hamburger and chips and everything right next to me, like I was fixing to eat right in the middle of this. No.
Funny.
But I'm about ready to get to it though. I'm starving like Marvin.
Well, we
I agree
right now.
Who are we waiting on? Bert, Steve, Jay, Marty, Shimbo, Billy Reed. Is that all we missing?
I think so.
Come on, Billy. Work with us. Shimbo, they got internet out all the way out there where you live, brother?
Hey, man, I don't know. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
We've been stringing up those strings and tin cans out this way for a long time.
Do what you got to do.
I tell you what, I had my first Zoom meeting out here with my staff, and I was using my laptop instead of my Chromebook. And boy, it was terrible. I thought, well, I just don't have enough service out here to make it work. When I changed devices and went to the Chromebook, I've not had any trouble since then. It does pretty good. My cell service is not very good, but my Wi-Fi works pretty good.
Good. Well, we still don't have Billy.
Count your
There he
blessings.
is.
No, I'm
And
here.
he's back.
I heard that. Remember, we on the same road down here, Jimbo. I was in there bragging on you too.
Oh, well, Billy, you know I was just messing with you.
Okay. It is now 9:29 and we have back in regular session again. We have item number 10.
Actually, I think it's number 9. No, you're right. It's 10. You're right. You're right. I'm sorry.
Yes, ma'am. Just considering possible action to approve the employment of special programs director and help me, Doc, on the others.
It's just
This is
other
superintendent.
personnel recommendations as presented. So I'm going to share that screen.
Yeah. Or I guess we can actually do it as just the recommendations as presented.
Yes, you can for all of them. I'm trying to share the screen. There they are. Can you see it?
No, we can't. Yes, ma'am. I'll entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the personnel as presented here.
Second.
Is that Steve is the second?
That's right.
Okay. We have a motion from Bert and a second from Steve. All those in favor say aye. All opposed, same sign. Motion passes. Item number 11 is just information only for the campus administrator reports. Item number 12. Anybody want to adjourn?
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
Thank you. We have motion second to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. We are adjourned. Thank you, guys.
Mr. Burks, I do have to say, do you see